Hey guys, this is Alex Bertson in Terrapsychology class with all you guys. I'm excited to do my final icon symbol presentation for this Terrapsychology class. I've had some interesting experiences along the way of getting to this, and I'm really excited to share it with all you guys. So I'll get into the details of everything that's been going on with me and the big realizations I've been having and how it relates to the things in this course that we've gone over. So my big symbol is Kalifia, which represents the awakened spirit of California. So let me get into the actual icon itself. This is her. This is Kalifia. So she's actually like a fusion of two archetypes and like stories, and it's Kali, the Hindu goddess, the fierce goddess. Um, that's one aspect, and then the other aspect is Calafia, Queen Calafia, who's there's a story about her representing representing California, and she was like a queen warrior lady who just like was like dominating over California, like ruling over California. Basically, she had like a bunch of warrior women on her side, and she was like leading the way. But there's this really interesting story you guys can look into um, online, and it goes into detail of what happens to her. So she's like, she's ruling. She has all this primal, powerful energy, and she's just super powerful, going everywhere, super connected. She has like griffins and stuff, like following her around, and she's commanding them. So it's like she's a force of nature. And what happens is she gets overtaken by and has to submit to the kind of like the what would you say, like the forces, like the patriarchal forces, especially like this Christian and Islamic influence. So basically, she has to bow down to this man who makes her submit and stop what she's doing, and she has to say in the end, like, you're right, I'm wrong, what I'm doing is wrong, you're right, and then that's the end of her story. And so it's really sad, because like I was like reading into the story and then reflecting on like how that made me feel to feel into that. And so it's kind of like representation of this fierce feminine energy, this primal like divine power, right? And what I was feeling into is like kind of like this underlying story and pain and grief that's there under the surface. And I felt that defeat that she felt, like that she has to succumb to the other powers that be, especially this masculine force that's going to oppress her and suppress her and keep her from her moving on like in this powerful way that she was. So that's like the story of Queen Calafia. But when I was like feeling into this and coming up with a symbol, I was seeing a lot of Kali come to me, the Hindu goddess, and Kali's been a big symbol for me, an archetype that I've been really uh, interested in. And so she basically represents like pure, like the force of like divine awakening others, and dissolving the false self, and it's like the spiritual fierce power, right? So what I was seeing into when I was like looking into this Queen Calafia thing, she was basically, I was like feeling into, it's like, okay, Calafia, the story makes sense and it fits for what California represents in this deep story, right? But Kali is actually like in there. It's like mixed in. It's almost as if Kali is the divine spirit behind Calafia. So basically, I just arrived at, okay, so it's actually this one and the same spirit together. It's like united. It's Kali and Calafia together, and that's what I'm calling Kalifia with a K. So it's Kalifia, and she's basically here to like lead us into like a new stage of consciousness that is deeply in tune with nature and primal energy and primal power, and also technology, and kind of this revolutionary edge that we're on, you know, and like all the things that have been happening in California. You know, we're kind of on the leading edge in the world overall. You know, a lot of the new technologies that are arising, but then all this stuff with like different spiritual traditions and like, you know, like schools like our school and you know Pacifica and CIIS and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's something about a mix of this deep spiritual intelligence and awareness mixed with like high technology. And so what I'm feeling is like Kalifia is representing the state of consciousness and this force in all of us, is present in all of us that we're feeling. And she also has a, you know, presence in art and culture, and it's like all of that is going to be a force that's leading all of us forward into our new evolution, into a new stage of being. And we're already in the process of establishing that, but it's going to become more and more strong. And so, um, I was also seeing into this thing I'm going to talk about in a little bit, called the coral vmeme. You know about the spiral dynamics system. I don't know if you guys have taken the classes on that yet or anything, but you know, these stages of conscious evolution, and coral is the top one, the most newly emerging one. And so I'll get into more detail of what that's all about. But so that's basically what happened. You know, I just had this vision of this feminine archetypal energy, and I was like, wow, this is it. This is what I've been feeling too, like this defeat, especially the defeat of the feminine, and like really the needed to restore that power there, and lead that forward. You know, create community and culture and art and technology, and fuse that with nature, and have that all working together. And like that's like the future of California basically, and that's what the energy that Kalifia represents. So I got some slides I'm going to go into some more detail of like the different aspects of this class. So I'll just get into that now. So yeah, she's the archetype and living spirit of California. She's the fusion of Kali and Calafia, as I was saying. She embodies fierce feminine power, wild nature, and a revolutionary force. She's the real archetypal intelligence emerging from California. So, from a terrapsychological inquiry perspective, you know, it's about like listening to the soul of place, right? And so this is what kind of happened to me, like as I was feeling into the place that I live. You know, I've grew up in San Diego my whole life, and I went to school in LA, and I just feel so like tied to California in general. So it was really interesting when she appeared to me, you know. So Kalifia responds to colonization and repression. So it's like this history of this place, you know, many different people have like colonized it, and kind of this myth about Calafia is present, and I feel like that it's almost like the earth in general is feeling this oppression from the arising forces of the patriarchal, like, you know, domination over everything, and now it's like time to bring that all back in connection with the feminine and the earth, you know. The built environment and the natural world both carry deep emotional and psychic imprints. So this is what I was saying. Like I was actually feeling into this, and like maybe this is something you guys should try to do too. But like read the story about Calafia, read about the defeat uh, of succumbing to like this Christian force that's like oppressing and suppressing her, you know, and she has to give in and be defeated. Like that's like there in us. And I'm seeing this affected in both women and men. It's like the women, what I'm seeing is the women are starting to embody this Kalifia energy more actively, especially in terms of like the sexual primal energy side of things. And the men are they're feeling the other side of the coin, which is like, oh, I'm bad as a man, and I've oppressed this female powerful force, and I've abused it, and I've silenced it, and I feel so much shame about it, right? So it's like the men might be feeling this, especially people in spiritual circles and stuff, and it's making it hard for them to actually connect with their primal power, their sexual energy, stuff like that. And what I'm feeling is going to happen with Kalifia is that she's going to be a representation of this energy that basically women are going to be leading us forward and showing us into how to step into our primal power, and like leading the men and showing them how to reclaim that for themselves. So that's like the big thing I was seeing. I was feeling the emotions of this, and like I think that like after I did that, I was feeling the emotions. I was like actually crying, like bawling, feeling all this, and then something in my solar plexus opened up. Like there's more flowing energy now because it's like that. There's like a suppression of the solar plexus, and that's the defeat feeling, right? But now it's like the Kali aspect of Kalifia is like the unrelenting force that's not going to bow down to anything. So even though Calafia faced defeat, Kali, the Kali part of Kalifia, is the force that's saying, no, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep on going. I'm gonna make my force known through everybody in California and revolutionize everything and move it forward to its best manifestation. So place presence. Kalifia is California, not just in it. So she represents the energy of California, and not only California. I'm also seeing it's like Baja California as part of that, and maybe even just the West Coast in general. So like Oregon and Washington are kind of tied into that energy overall. She's like this whole coast of where I live and where a lot of you I think live too. Yeah, she represents the coast, the mountains, the desert. She's a cultural myth for all of that. And we never, like what Chocolate said, we never really leave the places that shaped us. And so the people that are in California, I'm definitely a member of California, living, being born in San Diego and going to school in LA and always living in California. Like I feel really tied to the place. And there's something else that I've been noticing, in the music stuff that I'm my own music that I'm making with Holy Tears and some other bands that I've been influenced by. There's a lot of them that are actually, like coastal, like Californian bands, right? And they all have this kind of like heavy emotional grief energy to the music. One band you guys could look up is Portraits of Past. That one's really interesting. Look up Holy Tears. That's my band. Some other ones like Funeral Diner, and Who Calls So Loud. Those ones are especially, I would say, capture the essence of the emotional feeling of this grief. Another one that comes to mind, I don't think they're from California, but Pianos Become the Teeth. Uh, that that band has a lot of songs. There's one song called Hiding that's really powerful, that really ties into this feeling. So I'm just noticing this theme across like the music that I'm tied into of this place, of California. And I feel like that's actually the spirit of Kalifia communicating through me, through my music, and through the influences I've had of other Californian bands. So that's really cool. So symbolic consciousness. Kalifia is a mythic symbol and an icon. She condenses instinct, intuition, land energy, and story all into one. And she represents the spiritual and cultural revolution. So it's like all this instinctual, intuitive, powerful energy is being tied, like, to primal energy and then also tied to technology. And that's everything that California represents. So she's trying to shape California into this new, um, like hub of like the future for the planet almost, like it's interesting how we have so many different cultural influences coming together, and there's like this deep spiritual underlying power there and awareness tied with all this technology. And so I feel like she's going to be working through each of us and waking us up to her and to her power, and that we integrate her, and then we function from that. And that'll lead to like spiritual and cultural revolutions in California. And I was saying that we'll actually build communities together that are supporting us, so that we're kind of independent from the rest of the world, even from the United States in a way, because we've cultivated enough community and connection, and resources to depend on ourselves and move ourselves forward. And that's what she represents. She's like symbol for all that. So animism and dialogical alchemy. Uh, Kalifia is animistic, dialogical presence. She speaks through land, image, and intuition. Everything in the world has a voice. So this is, she's the actual power of California, it personified. And we can actually get in touch with her energy and her power. Like she's like a living god, in all of us, and that we can realize her and integrate her power. And so it's not just an idea, it's an actual force that we can get in touch with. And she has a voice. You can like tune into her and see what she's saying and what she wants, Eco-spirituality. Kalifia restores sacredness of body and earth. She harmonizes nature and technology and calls for re-enchantment of place. So really, it is a big part of this is tying to the body awareness and our connection to the earth. Like, and I think that's a really big thing for Californians. We're in a special place because we're especially along the coastline. There's the ocean there. There's all these places where we can hike. There's the redwood trees. There's mountains close by. There's deserts. All of that is like part of Kalifia or California. And so to become aware of that aspect of ourselves, this connection to nature as a spiritual practice, actually getting more embodied in ourselves and our bodies. That's going to be a really important aspect of this whole thing, because it's actually the source of our power is actually in the primal side, like the root, the sacral, the solar plexus. We actually have to reintegrate and unblock all that stuff and combine it with the higher awareness aspect of ourselves that's on the higher chakras. So this is another thing that's been occurring to me is this choral consciousness and mythic evolution. This is from the Spiral Dynamics, and there's this great video you guys can watch by M.A. Carano on YouTube. It's called Spiral Dynamics and the Choral vmeme. So he goes into detail about this choral vmeme, this stage, this paradigm that's emerging, and he goes into great detail of what that is. So what I'm seeing is Kalifia is actually a representation of an expression of this choral vmeme. They call the individuals or the force in general of choral chaos avatars. They're disruptive and enlightening. So I don't know if you guys know like the spiral dynamics system, but there's an earlier stage, red, that's like they call the power gods. That's when people come into their power as individuals and lead over people, but they do it through reinforcement of power and fear and control. So it's actually a lower consciousness kind of stage, but it's deeply tied to instinct and primal energy. But the thing is, there's actually 6 stages that go from red all the way up to choral that we progress through in our development. And choral actually represents the higher octave of red. So basically, it's reinvigorating that connection to primal instinctual power, but doing that with the conscious awareness that's the surrender and the awareness of everything itself. That's on the turquoise level, the stage right before choral. So what this is it's pretty crazy. Like I'm a feeling that like Kalifia is this force that's helping people wake up into this choral state of consciousness. And so people who are at the choral state of consciousness are surrendered to the natural flow of things, but they're also becoming very strategic. Their intuition is leading them because they have the clarity of mind. They're not interfered by the false self that a lot of people are struggling with. So that's just clear, and they get intuitional nudges all the time. And there's a big strategic element to this because choral actually wants to assert itself in its power in the most powerful way. Like I said, it's disruptive and enlightening. So it actually wants to disrupt things, but awaken others in the process. So what happens is, like what you can say is Kalifia is finding nodes of consciousness through each of us as individuals, waking us up. And then in that process, through those people, it's waking up other people into the state of consciousness, into the knowing of their like God self power. And then that'll be like a kind of like a wildfire of consciousness raising that shifts everything. And then each node, each person has their unique capabilities, responsibilities, and roles in this. But as a whole, what this force is, it's very strategic. It plays the long game. It sits through things and waits for the right timing of when to take action on things, when to get out in public to say certain things. So a lot of it is actually happening behind the scenes. Like you're not necessarily aware of these things happening, but I'm feeling that there's going to be coming a time soon that we'll have some kind of social revolution, and that California will be a part of that. And I'm seeing that there's going to be a Uranus-Pluto opposition in 2046 to 2048. And something my intuition is telling me that it's going to be a strong, a powerful time when California is going to be a leading representation of this coral energy coming to the surface and kind of like changing a lot of different things, waking up people, using this technology and connection to Earth together, and it'll just completely change how we go about things. Maybe like old structures that we have, old paradigms of thinking are going to fall away. More awareness of this higher state of consciousness and our own power as individuals, as like gods, is going to come to the surface, and we'll be building community and depending on each other, using our resources together to even overthrow possible like oppressive like governmental shit potentially. I don't know. We'll have to see. But so this is what my intuition is leading me into from what different things I've been studying and stuff. So California is the mythic frontier. It's the center of cultural, technological, and spiritual revolution. Its cities are myth making hubs, and Kalifia rises to lead through these energies. So the future that she's calling forth is the awakening of California. You can say California with a K. It empowers fierce feminine and divine masculine. It focuses on healing, power, truth, and expression. So yeah, that's all the slides that I wanted to go over, to talk about the different areas of what the different things we focus on in this class. Here are some of my sources. I would check out M.A. Carano's video, The Spiral Dynamics of Coral vmeme, to learn more about coral. Then I have all of Chalkless books that referenced. And then the Montalvo G 2004, that's The Adventures of Esplandian. That's the story about Calafia that you can check out. Or just like Google Calafia in general. It's Calafia. And then you'll learn the story about Calafia. And then you can see all this through combining with the full awareness and power of Kali as representation of God consciousness, God self-consciousness, and how that's arriving in all of us, especially in California. And she's doing her work in California as Kalifia. So, yeah, again, this is Kalifia. You can see, like, in the back, there's, like, the city along the coast. You can see, like, this Californian landscape. You can see the snake down there is this primal power, intuitive energy, like, that she has support of. She's actually wearing all this red and like, her skin's red, and she has gold. That's actually Calafia, how she's represented mythologically and stuff. So she's basically a fusion of Kali and Calafia. So yeah, this is what I'm seeing. This is like, I feel like this is like the actual presence and power of this whole Californian coastline, all and going up the West Coast in general. Like she's here to like lead us into a new like paradigm of way of functioning, and she's using technology and culture and art and connection to nature all together to create a kind of revolutionary new established community that functions independently from everything else, and it's kind of going to be like a new way of functioning for all of us. And I feel like women are going to be leading the way with this. That's what I'm feeling from the symbol, because she represents like the actual warrior, the woman warrior, with her fleet of women warriors that she commands in the story of Calafia. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's everything I wanted to talk about on this. It ended up being 23 minutes, but I really wanted to go into everything I was feeling through all this. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and feel free to reach out to me. You can go to my my Instagram, Alex Serpentine, and talk to me there. My email is aburtson@gmail, aburtson@gmail. You can email me there if you want. But yeah, this is the big thing I've been seeing. It's really cool. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys later.